When we talk about the systematic in the analysis of arguments, we refer to something as essential in sales as the argumentation methodology and the development of the different phases in the rational arguments analysis. I'm José Manuel García-Lomas and Allen-Perkins, President and First Consultant of García-Lomas Allen-Perkins, the ADO Corporation. We will begin by asking ourselves a key question: what are arguments? And the answer is facts, reasons that influence customers to buy a certain product, service, or accept a certain idea. So let's talk about the different phases in the analysis of rational arguments. These are 5 phases, and I will explain myself. Phase 1, my alternative compared with what? Phase 2, what are the positive and negative differences that my alternative has in comparison with competitive alternative? Phase 3, and what positive differences arguments can I get a certain client to believe the proof side? Phase 4, what positive differences arguments can I get that a certain customer realize the importance of these benefits arguments about needs for the client? Phase 5, and what questions can I ask my client to get all those needs defined and get their acceptance, the DA from DAPA, or the funnel technique. The best way to develop this systematic analysis of arguments with its different phases for the analysis of rational arguments is to do an interesting exercise based on a scheme that we show below. As we see in the top left of our scheme appears the word product, where we must place a product or service of ours. Immediately below it appears the customer's alternative. That is to say, there we must place the name of a product strongly competitive with ours, with which we are going to establish the comparison and the analysis. Now comes 4 columns. In the first column, we write the upper part, the word advantage, and in the lower part, as we see in the diagram, the word disadvantage or objection. In other words, we are trying to highlight what advantages my product or service has to relation to the customer's alternative, and in the lower part of the column first, we will highlight the disadvantage of our product in relation to the competitor's alternative, which can be transformed into an objection that the client can put to us. In the second column, in the upper part, we will write the word proof. That is to say, if in the first column we have already written one or more of our advantages over the competitors or alternative that the client has, now we must find the different ways that we can have, if necessary, to give the proof that indeed our product has those advantages. In the third column, we will have to write the word need, which means that there will have to put all needs that the supposed client could have of those advantages that I have already pointed out in the first column, and that in turn I can prove them as I have pointed out in the second column, and now I express the needs of the client. What now I can show that I have the advantages and the proof of those advantages that cover his need or needs. And finally, we come to the fourth column. On its top, we will write the following questions: defining customer needs. And since I now know the needs of that supposed client, which are listed in the third column, now I must apply my good questioning technique and conveniently handle those 10 different types of questions that I have. I will formulate the series of most convenient questions that come to me to recognize on the part of the client of the existence of those needs already defined in the third column of needs of the client. But there is something else, and that is that at the end, below, on the first column, appear the disadvantage or objection of my alternative in comparison with the alternative of the client. That is to say, objection that the client can put me because the alternative of the client with our competitor can be above in those aspects. And there we will write in an objective way the disadvantages that my alternative has in comparison with a competitive alternative. And to the right of that word disadvantage or objection, we will write everything along that row of the scheme, the word treatment. That is to say, how I will think in advance what are the best answers that help me overcome the objection, disadvantages that the client may pose to me. Once developed this scheme that helps me to establish the systematic of how to analyze product or services compared to alternative that a supposed customer might have, example, another similar product from the competition, I will have to do the following: draw at the top of the scheme an arrow from left to right along the entire scheme, where I will write that from left to right is analyzed, and also draw another right to left arrow along the top of the diagram, indicating that from right to left it is presented to the customer. This is a great exercise of the systematic in the analysis of rational arguments. It is worthwhile that each one by his own invest part of his time in filling this scheme of this exercise, remembering the most important thing, that from right to left is analyze our product in relation to the competitors, and that from right to left is the way to present it to the customer. Take your time to develop this systematic analysis of arguments because it is a great analytical system. If you are interested in our videos, I suggest that you give a like and subscribe to our channel for the videos that are to come.